Eva, it's delightful to see you today. And I'm so excited that you're joining me in our discussion on biotin, right? I mean, another one of those supplements, and as you call in the UK, vitamins that are around the world that is supposed to be the magical cure for hair loss, right? There's quite a few studies though now, and there's quite a few important white papers that do talk specifically about the use of biotin. And one more than anything, I think, is that, a large number of our population can be biotin deficient. And it's one thing to take a supplement, right? If you're deficient, it's another one just to take it because the press says you should take it because it's going to grow your hair. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I have this discussion in my clinics all the time. Biotin is vitamin B7. It's part of those B vitamins, that family. And B vitamins are all about metabolism, cell renewal, cell regeneration. And there's no doubt they're very important. But biotin on its own is in the Western world pretty much in every food group that we eat. So unless you have an incredibly restricted diet, you should be able to get biotin from your diet. And as long as your gut's working and you can absorb it, you shouldn't be biotin deficient. However, it gets great PR because there was a study done that said if you were deficient in biotin and you supplemented it, your hair, skin and nails would improve. And that is true. But very rarely do I see vitamin B7 deficiency. What I do see is vitamin B12 being low because vitamin B12 is only really in animal proteins. And many of us now are going more plant-based, vegetarian, vegan. And B12 is all about cell renewal, cell regeneration, and the hair really uses it. And if you're more plant-based, it can be low and a supplement can be beneficial. But then there are other B vitamins as well, things like niacin, B3 and pyridoxine, B6. And so if I'm talking about supplementing B vitamins, I would tend to go for a complex that's got everything in it. I wouldn't necessarily just choose biotin. And of course, there's also research out there that shows that high strength biotin taken over a protracted period can affect thyroid function. And if our thyroids aren't functioning properly, it will affect the hair. And so it's a little bit of a push me, pull me type of supplement that the PR is great, but the reality is very often different.
Yes, yes. And because we do treat a lot of women with hypothyroidism and Hashimoto's, it is an issue because when we run blood labs on patients and we have them run a series of thyroid tests, right? If they have not ceased taking a vitamin that has biotin in it or a very high potency of biotin, just to your point, it can affect the labs that are actually giving the true story of what is happening in the thyroid. So I think, the complex idea, I love it. It's so amazing that you can think about getting all of those vitamins together. The other vitamin that we are very specific on is vitamin D. And in the United States, in the Southeast, and I say this, and some people watching are going to laugh at me because if they live coastal, they're going to be like, what do you mean? We have tons of sun here. Well, when you're inland and you're kind of in the valley, as we are, we find that we have an issue with many, many clients having low vitamin D's during certain seasons. And so, we talk, and I've had many podcasts and blogs about seasonal hair loss. And one of the main reasons that we talk about seasonal hair loss is due to either vitamin deficiencies, due to an inflammatory response from an allergen, right? Due to the layers of the ozone and allergens that are flying around in the air. So there's just so many areas that we have to focus on when we talk about one specific vitamin And even though you and I both like to be very directed and deliberate on how we treat, sometimes, unless we are running labs and checking those micro Bs, it's very hard to know where the deficiency is coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where, blood tests as part of our clinical practice are essential. When we talk to somebody, we're all trained to do what we call a differential diagnosis, which is we listen to what our patients tell us they're feeling. We might not be able to see it. They're the symptoms. And then we look for the clinical signs and marry them together. And that gives us our reason to say we need to run some bloods. And then it's that panel that you run from what you've gleaned from your patient. So, if they're on a very restricted diet, or they've got gut issues, or they've got certain medical issues, that helps you to look at the panel you need to run. And I always say for at least 48 hours before you have your blood taken, please don't take any supplements, because the labs are going to read what's in the supplement is doing, not what you're doing. And we really need to know what you're doing to be able to give you the best advice.
Yes, 100%. And that the diet and the holistic side of health affecting our hair growth and hair loss is also known and seen in the world of epigenetics. And so that is one of the reasons that, depending upon the symptoms when the patient comes in to see us, we will sometimes run labs as well as take an epigenetic analysis just to see if we're having some gut dysbiosis and what else is going on, whether there's toxicity, parasitic issues, viruses that are lingering. Because, we can perform the most amazing treatments for our clients and those that we've seen phenomenal results with. But if holistically there's an underlying health issue, I think we're sending the poor patient and the client down the wrong road, because we're not really doing what we as clinical trichologists are trained to do.
Yeah, I think that holistic approach and the relationship between gut health is very often ignored. You don't think about your tummy when you're thinking about your hair, and yet we should do, because they're inextricably linked. And to get the best results, we have to be holistic in what we do, because the hair is very delicate. It likes everything to be in balance. It doesn't like stress. It doesn't like illness. It doesn't like no sleep. It doesn't like dehydration. And unfortunately, the way our lives are, we don't all float on clouds feeling great all the time. We have all of those things flying around, and it's our job to make sure we mitigate them all to the best of our ability and to the best ability for the patient to get the best results.
Yes, agreed. Well, before we leave today, though, you talked about that combination approach in a supplement. Tell us a little bit about your Trico Extra or your supplement lines, because you have put so much time and effort into creating such an amazing natural line of supplements. And so I know that you look at this holistic approach in one particular supplement. So tell us more.
So Trico Extra is a multivitamin mineral supplement. That is all it does. Lots of supplements try to do too many things. They try to give you protein, they try to give you amino acids, they try to give you omegas, and they try to give you vitamins. And you can only fit so much into a capsule or a tablet. And Trico Extra came about because many years ago now, I had to have major bariatric surgery to put my diabetes into remission. I was very ill, and I'd been given 6 months before I had a heart attack or stroke. So I had this really aggressive surgery. Thankfully, super successful. I don't take metformin. I don't take insulin. Everything has been great for the last 20 years. But as a consequence, my gut isn't what it was. So I don't absorb things very easily. And I was told I would always need a multivitamin mineral supplement, B12 injections. lots of things that the gut doesn't really function well with. And I got really cheesed off with buying things off the shelf, and I'd go for a blood test and it'd be, well, this is okay, Eva, but that isn't. This is okay, but now that isn't. And I was very lucky. It was a teaching hospital where I was treated, and I worked with the nutritionist and said, I want something that's going to stop me needing all these blood tests that works. And by the way, I want it to work for the hair as well. And that's how we formulated Trico Extra. So everything in there has got a job to do at a level that is a sort of absorbable. Everything works together. And I always say it lifts and holds. So it's got enough in there to do all those things. And the things we've talked about, there is some biotin in there, but there's also every other B vitamin. Mm-hmm. There's vitamin C, there's iron because C helps iron to absorb. There's vitamin D because there's a receptor in the follicle that keeps the hair in the growing phase using vitamin D. There's magnesium, there's selenium, there's copper, there's zinc. All those things that the hair needs but struggles to access because of its unique status. It's the second fastest dividing cell in our bodies, but non-essential. So instead of being up here at the top of the food chain, it's always right down here at the bottom. And that's where sometimes with some conditions, particularly shedding, taking that supplement to get you back into normal range, or if you've got a leaky gut, to hold you in normal range, makes all the difference. And that was where I developed it. I took it myself to begin with, and then I used it in clinic. And then eventually I started sort of telling other people about it.
Yes. Oh, that's fabulous. Well, I know that a lot of our listeners will be able to entertain and take a look at that supplement and see specifically what is in there. I know on your website, which is UK Specialist Consultants, and you have a shop tab there. And then also HPIHair Partners on our shop. We also have the supplement there that anyone can take a look or determine if it's the right opportunity for that general Absolutely. Supplementation for them.
That's Great. Amazing. And anybody that uses it from you guys over there in America, if you want to message us and tell us what you think, we would love it, and we'd love to share it, because it's all about working together to get the best results for as many people as we can across the world.
Oh, exactly. Well, and you just gave me an idea about our next video, I should say, is we need to talk about the benefits of copper. Oh my gosh. So we're utilizing copper in every way we can because it's just such an amazing mineral. So that will be our next one. So we'll study up and be ready to come at that one with lots of information. Well, until then, Eva, you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you soon.
My pleasure. Stay safe, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.